You remember when it was a big deal? Oh, Casey switched affiliates. Fuck, shut up.
It was a thing. There was a thing.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, we lost American Top 40. Oh shit. Who cares?
These things were important, goddammit, when America was great. Don't you start with that shit.
No, they weren't.
These things were very important. Did you never did listen to that Casey Kasem pod? Well, it's on Audible, so you wouldn't have it, but it's that Gene Kasem woman was just unbelievably out of her mind.
No, see, there are some things that have happened now.
Right.
As you're old enough. This is not. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Right.
For instance, and we could talk about this on the podcast, and if people can hear it, I cannot think of something I want to watch less than on FX, American Crime Story, the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. I absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
I can't do it.
I'll co-sign on that.
God damn it. You know?
I think I have learned everything that I possibly could learn about that situation. I think
it's like every number of months or years, there's something new on Ted Bundy or no, just no.
I don't. I don't have this fast. I don't know. I haven't entered this phase in my life when I'm fascinated with like serial killers or something. I'll just stick with wrestling or whatever. I'm just not there.
Well, I was just using that as I wasn't just doing.
No, but there's an endless supply of this.
Well, but what's even worse is, remember, the supply keeps growing. It never shrinks.
Oh, no.
Because thing ever is beyond the reach.
Have we learned everything we could learn about the BTK killer and Ted Bundy and the Zodiac? And have we,
No, of course not.
Have we learned? I mean, it seems like we've learned every possible thing we could have learned about these people at some point.
No.
Which one did you like? Which one did I throw out that you liked? You like the BTK guy,
or John Wayne Gacy?
John Wayne Gacy. I mean,
Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah.
The son
here's
of Sam.
Here's the dumbest thing. No, here's the dumbest thing in the world. On Sirius XM. In the news talk, block of 6 or 7, they have HLN there. The audio of HLN. Okay,
right.
Why? HLN is nothing. It does not. It's shit.
It's damn near. I mean, honestly, it really is unwatchable. I think there's like 5 doctors' offices in America that have it, and that's about it. That's the only people watching that shit.
Sell it off. Sell it off. Who are you fooling?
It's like I said, I was saying to somebody about Channel 2 the other day, the only people watching Channel 2 are people at the nursing home down in Pleasant Garden that have broken their hips and can't make it to the remote. Those are the only people.
No, Britt, you have to recycle the old Brad line. Even the cameramen aren't watching.
I did. I was telling Bryant that joke on our wrestling podcast a couple of days. How much did that joke cost you? How much money did that cost the station? Brad, you just cost us $40,000. That's not good, Brad.
Let's
I'm ready.
Let's get this puppy out of the doghouse now. It is the Brad and Britt cast. We're glad you are with us this day, as we are glad you are with us on any day or any evening or any morning when you listen to the podcast version. Those of you who are live with us on the afternoon shift here on Wednesday afternoon. Is today Wednesday or Thursday? Boy, isn't that terrible? Don't you hate that?
No, it's trash day
Thursday.
For me.
Good.
I know it's Thursday, so that's trash day for me. So that's how I'm able to remember it. Yeah, I've entered a new level of old ageism now. My body is just breaking down like crazy on me, and I'm just done. I'm out.
All right. Well, here's a question: Are you bumping into shit inadvertently, like in the kitchen, like you're taking something and you keep hitting you just do those little uncoordinated little things that don't mean anything?
I'm going to tell you something that I haven't shared with anyone, including the people that I'm intimate with in my life. I had this stuff that you get from the store. It's from the Asian store. It's called fish sauce, and it's just marinated. It's like Worcestershire it's not as sweet. and you can put it in stuff, and it's great for a number of things. So I stored it on top of the refrigerator, and I pulled the door, and it crashed into the ground and spilled everywhere. And it smells like death.
Oh.
I did that not once, but on 2 separate occasions.
Oh.
So I figured out after the second time I shouldn't store the fish sauce above the refrigerator. It should go in the pantry.
Well, but you learned some physics that you relearn over and over again, which is when something like that drops, it will go to the furthest reaches that you cannot ever imagine while you're cleaning up. And no matter how much you clean up, at the end, there will be something that you missed. That's just an iron law of the universe. So,
and I'm honest, it smells like death. It's like bait. I mean, it's like the worst possible. At least it didn't get on the carpet, but it was twice, 2 times. And then I got smart.
So it's the kind of thing that they have to put in a glass container because plastic would not contain it.
Nope. Good. I think there may be some in plastic, but nope. I get the glass, and most of it's in glass, and it's great, and you should have it, and you should use it, but don't store it on top of the fridge because that's stupid.
Yeah. All right. A lot of things too stupid to talk about. Some things sort of serious. We're on a podcast. Things are rolling, so we have to be a little bit careful in talking about anything having to do with Afghanistan and the explosion there. At last report, there were 4 Americans dead, 4 American Marines. That's from the Wall Street Journal in the 1:00 hour on Wednesday.
It's terrible news, obviously, and it's very sad for them and their families. And there have been too many people that have died in Afghanistan already, and obviously that's just an awful story.
And it really paints the United States, paints the president, paints the administration, paints the strategy into possibly a new corner, because Joe Biden last week said if harm comes to Americans, the retaliation will be swift and it will be forceful. So we all wait whether that will be true. And if it is true, what are the repercussions of that? And Britt, this is truly like wrestling, where enemies of enemies become friends with each other, and people who you think should be friends with each other are enemies of each other. And I guess the conventional wisdom right now, and it's probably true, that the Taliban, they're not buddies with this ISIS-K spin-off group from the original ISIS who were hiding away. And then there's the Pakistanis who are over on the other side of the border. They're intimately involved in all of this. You know, our friends, the Pakistanis, who we really hate, who we pretended not to hate, and they hid bin Laden. And by the way, we have the guy from the Taliban holding a little interview session, I believe, on Wednesday, and he announced that bin Laden was innocent. There's no proof that bin Laden did anything. So we're getting gaslit and fake news out of people like that we have to trust in order to get our asses out by August 31st, which by all measures is, of course, an artificial construct date that Joe Biden made up by throwing a dart at the calendar. But once you say it, you have to live up to it, or you're weak. And so now what do? We have lost 4 members of the military.
At least 4.
Right. And I don't know about you. But every time I see video of airplanes, jets taking off from Kabul airport, I hold my breath. These people have shoulder-fired missiles. I can't believe they haven't taken a shot to try to take one down yet. It's terrible. I hate to think that way, but how could you not think that way? This is what they do. This is their business. This is what terrorists do.
This allows this guy to get back in the headlines. There's Lindsey Graham, the only man who is for a permanent, unending occupation of Afghanistan, calling for the military to retake Bagram Air Base there. So,
well,
Lindsey Graham gets to flex his muscles for half a second.
Yeah, I think even at this moment, you have to have cooler heads prevail here, and not decide that we are going to use the ratio of 4 to 20. You kill 4 of our guys, we're back in for 20 more years. Doesn't work that way.
Is that what
it shouldn't work that way?
Is that what the 420 ratio is? Because I've been told that was something completely different.
I just made that up right now. But
Nice.
if Lindsey Graham had his way, because as you know, if there's anyone who wants to show manly strength through the military, it's Lindsey Graham. Now, I didn't mean anything different by that than what I said. Okay,
it's American dominance, and then and we're going to get them. We're going to pin them down and make them say the safe word. That's what you're saying, and I understand it, and I copied it completely. So it's Lindsey. Again, I think he's even outside of the realm of most Fox News viewers, because Lindsey Graham has no problem with us being in Afghanistan forever. He has no problem if given his druthers, he would have an American occupation of Afghanistan from now until forever and ever and ever and ever.
And by the way, again, you're not an expert. I'm hardly an expert on Afghanistan, the geography of Afghanistan, the history of Afghanistan, the politics of Afghanistan, and this war in general. I admit I don't study it every day.
Well, but you know the terrain is awful. The terrain is dreadful. You do know that.
From what I do know, the Republicans at this moment are using every opportunity here to not just hurt Joe Biden, but to hurt the country and to hurt America. And if they think that this is a winning hand for them, and when Lindsey Graham says something stupid like, let's retake that airbase, which I do believe is about 25 miles from Kabul. And that's the airbase that we abandoned. We let it go. They stripped it. There's no equipment there. There's nothing there. I think that's where the prison was, that they let 5,000 prisoners out a few weeks. There's nothing there. Okay. But it just sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good. Well, if we could just get that other airbase back and secure that way out there in the suburbs of Kabul, we'd be golden. We could just tell everybody to take an Uber wherever they are to that airbase, and we'll get everyone out and it'll be fun. No.
It's always big dick swing, and it's always let's bomb the shit out of them. And I truly hope that the let's bomb the shit out of everybody part of American foreign policy, that era was over, but it's not. It never will be, because some people will always believe in it, and that we can bomb our way out of problems. That's not the case at all. But again, as you say, they're more interested in scoring points against Joe Biden than helping out America. They're just hoping for names. They can flash names on the screen, just like they did with the guy who was the ambassador in Benghazi. What was his name? Crocker? Was that the guy? And they just paraded his name. Yeah. They paraded his name around for years and years and years, even though the family said, would you please stop? They paraded him around like a bloody flag, as you know, to try to kill Hillary Clinton. So that's what they're looking for over on Fox and over on talk radio.
Yeah. We're about to be, I think, subject to not just a Trump level of gaslighting and lying about what's going on in foreign policy and in Afghanistan over the next few weeks, months into the 22 election, maybe beyond that. But this may make what Trump has done look like child's play, because the die is already being cast right now. We were doing fantastic in Afghanistan. We were kicking ass. Everything was good. We didn't lose. We did not lose
we had 20 years of great success.
Lose an American. Let me finish. We didn't lose an American life for a year and a half. Right. We had 2,500 people there for a year and a half until Joe Biden got his grubby little hands on the wheel. Right. The next thing you know, we're cutting and running and losing. And we lose 4, and it could be higher than that before this is all done. So therefore, Joe Biden lost Afghanistan.
Sure.
To me, that's kind of simple.
We have 20 years of raging success, 2 decades of raging success in Afghanistan, and Joe Biden fucked it up. That's truly the narrative they would like for you to believe.
Well, I don't know that that's what they're going to say, but doesn't it seem like that's what they're going to say?
That sounds right. This
Yeah.
is the movie you should be watching this weekend. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called The Beast of War, and it is about the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. And Jason Patrick is in it, from the director that gave you Waterworld. And it's a real sleeper, and it's on Amazon Prime. So watch that this weekend. It's a very good.
When was that made? How old was that?
1989, I believe, is when that Jason Patrick is in that film, and this is pre-Speed 2. So that's Jason Patrick, and it's called The Beast of War. Again, from the same director that gave you the smash hit Waterworld. There you are.
Good. When you log on to my HBO Max this weekend, I hope you enjoy it.
No, I've got my own Amazon Prime. I'm just scooching on you for all this other stuff that's on there. I'm getting my HBO Hard Knocks with the Dallas Cowboys. Oh,
we get our Hulu from Stephanie, from our daughter. We get Hulu from her, but it's legal. I think you're allowed 5 family members or something.
My mother has never paid for Netflix, and I've got her Dish Network account, so that's how we do. Here's another completely predictable story, Brad, out of South Dakota. COVID cases have quintupled after the Sturgis motorcycle rally, as conservatives continue to talk about how great the governor of South Dakota is for not forcing people to wear masks. The hospitals are slapdash full, and the 100,000 plus people that were in Sturgis have caused the cases to go up 4 times, Brad, in the great state of South Dakota.
You know, I think you made a mistake here. You should have prefaced that with "too stupid to talk about," because it's too. If it's that predictable, if everyone knew this was going to happen, it was just a question of what was going to be the factor by which cases would grow. We didn't know, so factor of 4 over what a month ago or before cases that could have been directly traced to the rally could be tabulated. I guess that's how they're doing that. Hey, I got one here. I got a clip.
Please
Let's
go.
check this one out. Here's a longtime conservative talk show host and law professor Hugh Hewitt, from Southern California,
major league asshole,
who has he's one of these guys. You know what? He's like a Phil Valentine in terms of his footprint in talk radio. You know, he's there. He's sort of known, but he's not really known. Okay, so here he is, and he can get Trump on the phone. Which, okay, that's not a big deal. Trump will talk to anybody, right?
Yeah.
So here there. So the lead up here was probably 15, 20, 30 seconds, and then Trump goes off the conspiracy theory cliff on the FDA and Pfizer, and listen to what Hugh Hewitt does when Trump goes there. Here we go.
I think the science is great. I'm going to get it. I think you should get it.
Second shot there.
I would have nothing
Third
against
shot.
getting it. I'd like to look at it a little bit more. But first of all, we have September to make the decision, et cetera, et cetera. We have a little while. I do think that Pfizer, I will say this, the FDA is bureaucratically run, would have taken 5 years to get it approved, would have never even had it if it weren't for me. And I learned things. The FDA is virtually controlled by Pfizer. Pfizer has control, not Johnson & Johnson, not Moderna, but Pfizer has control over the FDA.
Hugh?
Second question. Have you heard anything?
He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. He moves on. He lets Trump get away with that.
Yeah.
And off they go.
That's funny.
Go. Yeah, see, he should Trump has so many lawsuits against him and so many legal problems that you don't have enough hands and fingers on those hands and toes on your feet to count. He should be sued for that. Pfizer should be able to turn right around and sue him for defaming the corporation. Don't you think?
Well, I mean, you're seeing these massive lawsuits about the election fraud and stuff. So absolutely. And that's why you saw some people getting a little getting a little weak-kneed about that situation. And One America News Network and some of these other places that were spreading these lies and not tamping down on them, they're facing multi-billion-dollar suits when it comes to. Right. So I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah. All right, and you've got the story now. We have the 7 Capitol police officers directly suing Trump, and their claim is that he intentionally set the mob off on January 6th as part of his bid to stay in office.
Love it.
And here's what the suit says. Trump worked with white supremacists, violent extremist groups, and campaign supporters to violate the Ku Klux Klan Act, which was passed in 1871 to stop violence when they were trying to disrupt Congress back then. Oh, the good old days.
Right. When America was great. He was trying to make America great again.
So we had to, you know what? That was called the Ku Klux Klan Act. Now we have to pass something called the Trump Act, I guess.
the Proud Boys Act of 2021.
Yeah. We need to update that. So
hey, the asshole wanted his name on the vaccine, but he should get his name on this. That is a great point. This should be the thing that he actually gets his name on. I like that. Yeah,
and then you have the decision yesterday by the federal judge in Detroit to basically say to Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and all these other Trump lawyers, you're fucked. You should be disbarred.
Yes.
You are the worst of the worst. You suck. And there's not one thing that you said that was within legal ethics when you were lying and you were trying to undermine the United States electoral system with no hope. And you knew you had no hope of turning the election around in favor of Donald Trump. You came into the courts and did what you did with malice, with the intention of screwing up the country, thinking that Donald Trump would somehow rise back to the top. And good for her. And as always, by the way, Britt, the first thing I do is, what do? I find out who appointed this federal judge. And the answer is Barack Obama.
Oh,
that's
of
a
course.
Barack Obama judge who did
Of course.
So if someone would like to, with a straight face, make the claim that these lawyers were good lawyers and they did everything above board and they followed the rules, the canons, the ethics, and it's only because an Obama-appointed federal judge saw the case that she went after them. Good luck. Go ahead. Make that case. Have a good day.
When you pass the bar and you're licensed to practice law in a particular state, you have to represent yourself in court as a good officer of the court. And these people are now being told that you did disingenuous bullshit, not based in any law at all, and now you got to go. You got to go out and go. You can go sell some yard products or something.
What you said, except worse, because most of these lawyers, I think almost all these lawyers, certainly the ones you've heard of, they don't have law licenses in Michigan. Okay. They don't. But it is assumed, it is implied that if you practice law somewhere at some level outside of the state in which you are licensed, you will still follow the rules. So you suck even worse.
Right.
for kind of, it's almost like you cross state lines to suck. Okay.
Well, when you step into the court, you do have that. You have to represent yourself as a good and fair officer of the court. And if you do something other than that and present bullshit that is meant to lie and prevaricate and not supposed to represent any good point based in any sort of legal foundation, then you get called out on it. That's what's happened here. And these people should be sent to the showers permanently for sure. No question about that.
I think the only reason Giuliani isn't included on the list is because he's already been sanctioned by the state of New York. And so once you lose your law license in one state, I think it's assumed that you can't do it anywhere else. I don't think lawyers can do what sadly doctors apparently can do, which is go from state to state and butcher people and then show up somewhere else and continue on till they're finally caught. But
I understand priests are like that. I understand priests are like that too. They kind of.
I haven't heard anything about that, Britt. You'll have to tell me about that sometime. I've heard that. I'm reading the wrong papers. All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to choose?
Go ahead. Give me my choices.
All right. Republicans handle North Carolina critical race theory crisis.
Oh God, yes.
Should we or shouldn't we say no shot, no work? Or everybody, show us your papers.
These are three solid choices you've given me today, but let's start with the Tar Heel State, where critical race theory is the creeping socialism, Brad.
Yeah. in the North Carolina Senate this day, new rules on how schools can teach about racism, because apparently a lot of people are telling Republican politicians everywhere that teachers are trying to indoctrinate students with this critical race theory, the evil critical race theory. In the North Carolina Senate, the vote was 25-17, and that's a party line vote. Republicans supporting, Democrats opposing. And this always is the tell. It's what do they call the legislation? You can always figure out how fraudulent, phony, and disingenuous it is.
What kind of bullshit do they go for here? What kind of awful,
ready? The Ensuring Dignity and Non-Discrimination in Schools Act.
What is that? Does that spell? Is that like a? Does that spell anything out? It's just like anything. It's a NISA or something like that is what it comes out to. But
yeah, no, it's just
a thing.
It's just yeah. All right.
Is
so supposedly
it's supposed to spell Patriot Act or something, isn't it? Aren't they supposed to do that bullshit?
So it's supposed to prohibit schools from promoting that the United States was created. And as you know, there's a lot of this going on. Teachers are teaching this, and this will prevent the teaching of the thought that the United States was created, quote, for the purpose of oppressing members of another race or sex. On our worst day, on the worst day in the history of the United States, no one, I believe, has ever made the case that the country was created with the sole purpose of oppressing other people. It may have been a byproduct. It may have been convenient. It may have been profitable. But I don't think it was the actual purpose of the creation of the country. And how did this come to be? Well, a new report was released by the person who could be the worst Republican in this state. That's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
He's a great one.
He went and collected complaints accusing teachers and schools of indoctrinating students. So, of course, when you get complaints, the next thing you do is you pass legislation to fix it, right? Right.
There's a great article in The Nation that talks about who's behind all of this bullshit and stirring it up, and it's the Koch brother, because I think the other guy's dead, right? We're down to one Koch brother, right?
Right, but like the Temptations are still around, but they're all dead except maybe one. There needs to be a new Koch brother, don't you think?
Can we recruit another Koch brother?
Right, like the Rolling Stones, they've got their drummer already in place. They knew they were going to need this. They've got a guy apparently who's fantastic. And so, any good organization knows that there needs to be succession plans. So I would say there does need to be a new Koch brother, because I can't say it, singular like that. I need Koch brothers. Sorry.
Well, there's a couple of asshole Republican guys that are willing to say, I would think Elon Musk would be a natural. He could step in and I think fill the void for a number of years. He seems to be a big enough dick, right?
Yeah, but it kind of needs to be someone that's got those oil industry, anti-climate change, conspiracy theory credentials, and Musk does not have those. He really doesn't.
What about Peter Thiel? You think Peter Thiel would be good? You think we could get him in there?
I like that one.
Yeah.
You know what? I think you struck gold. I think all right. So in North Carolina, the schools deny that they teach this critical race theory.
Right.
Instead, they say they promote equity and inclusion practices designed to help educate an increasingly diverse student enrollment. Well, that's the problem. It's an increasingly diverse student enrollment. You've probably seen the articles the last few days. They're everywhere. Guess what? In the census, no matter how inaccurate it might be, there's no doubt North Carolina is becoming a much more diverse place. In fact, it's so diverse. And I think we need to sidetrack here and talk about diversity in the grocery store. Okay. Because you go into the grocery store, and it used to be there would be like an international aisle. And then the Hispanics got their own part of the store. And the kosher part used to be isolated. It gets bigger and smaller depending on when the next
season.
holiday is.
Sure.
Okay. But in general, just from 30,000 feet, your average mainstream grocery store is a lot more ethnically diverse than it used to be. Now, that's not
No.
saying that it's not mostly still white bread, and Frito-Lay owns
No, but-
98% of the chips. I mean, I understand that. But
I got to say,
still,
as with most things, the Asians are kicking ass. I mean, I think they're really making the big gains when it comes to the grocery store shelf space. Yeah,
they sure are. But by the way, don't let Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson know about this, because next thing you know, they're going to pass shelf quota bills saying that Harris Teeter or Kroger are only allowed to devote 4% of their shelf space to non-white bread food, even though this state, I don't know what the numbers are by now, but clearly we've got 20, 30, 40% of people who are not white minimum. So based on the real quota system, grocery stores are still under ethnic.
No. There's no. I mean, here's the other problem is though we're
still tokenism. It's tokenism
in your regular stores, but we're getting more tiendas. We're getting more of those international food stores. So I mean, that's a real problem. I hope Robinson pays attention to that. I mean, I hope that we can look at that on city councils and county commissioners across America before we start putting these international grocery stores in and these tiendas. We need to kind of put a halt on it.
Or as Donald Trump once said, they're not sending us our best chefs.
Let me just say, hey, pretty soon, and you know what's going to happen. And you know what I'm going to say. These Afghans are going to start wanting their stuff on the shelves, and then it's Katie bar the door. You've lost America. Where's my potted meat? I want to know where my potted meat is. Where's my pig's knuckles?
I think I told you this last week. Afghan food is pretty good. Afghan restaurants are very good. I don't know if we have any.
I don't think we do
around here.
Per se.
They may. Yeah. Okay. So I have a prediction. Here that I want to get on the record before it happens, and it revolves around what Republicans are trying to do in terms of the fact that there's no doubt there's a split in the party over Afghan refugees. Okay. Because, the Republican Party many years ago, and that many years ago really is the Reagan era. Reagan was not against immigration from other countries, including Mexico, at all. He was very, very open to it. Of course, he wanted it to be legal, but he was not. He was nothing like you see now, nothing even close. And that could probably be because he was from California and he saw the benefits for that state. Whatever the reasons are, Reagan was a flaming liberal on immigration compared to the Republican Party of today.
Well, the part of that also was the wing of the Republican Party that needed that sort of labor to do jobs. They kind of pulled the strings on him and told him where to go on things like that. So that was part of it.
But by the time they got to the end of Reagan's term and into the 90s, California flipped, and they had Governor Pete Wilson, who was just fucking out of his mind on immigrant. Okay, but that's not the point here. I predict that some smart-ass Republican in Congress, it might be Tucker Carlson, it might be, but what they're going to say is, okay, we're going to get Afghan refugees in this country. That's what America's all about. But here's the deal. They have to live in, ready? Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta.
The Democrat cities? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
and what would that do? It's a complete slam. And
it'll help turn Georgia a little more blue. That's what it's going to do. Keep going, guys.
It's not that right. Assumedly, if you think that they're going to be thrilled about Joe Biden, because
they may have some issues.
I think that's a big stretch to think that people who are getting into this country right now, if they become citizens, are automatically going to be Democrats. But for the sake of the argument, okay. But I predict that that's what they will do. They will think that is so clever. and that is so funny. And here's the point. Point is that when we got hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese refugees to come to the United States, they didn't fly here on the last day off of helicopters. They came on boats. You remember the boat? They went to the Philippines, and then we got a lot of them. You know where they settled in this country?
Where?
They settled everywhere.
Yeah.
They settled everywhere.
And they made incredible contributions to America. They started businesses. They became doctors and lawyers. They did all sorts of wonderful things.
But again, I don't recall, and my memory is not perfect, as you know, but I don't recall there being what I know is the growing backlash right now by right-wingers and conservatives and anti-immigrant types against Afghan refugees, against Vietnamese refugees back then. There may have been some. Yeah. I'm sure there was.
I'm sure there was, yeah.
I'm sure there was. But one of the complaints I do recall that did not happen was that, you know what? There might be some Viet Cong sneaking in here. There might be some, because right now, one of the big arguments that the Republicans are making against Afghan is we're not vetting them. They were just throwing them on planes and which is, by the way, not true. It is not true.
It sounds good.
They're not just waving everybody. It's not that way.
Again, this is the first cousin of the guy that's coming to pick grapes is going to rape your sister. I mean, that's all. It's all part of the same ball. That's what they're trying to do.
No, that's the second cousin. The first cousin is they're going to sneak in through Mexico over the border, which Joe Biden has opened up to terrorists to come in.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Right. So these folks are going to come here. And they will, for the most part, be the best citizens that we have. And 25 and 30 years from now, when they hold public office and they speak perfect English, way better than most of the morons who criticize them, we'll be able to look back on this and say, we did what we could. And it was a terrible, terrible couple of months and a couple of weeks at the end. And, there's no elegant way to lose a war. How about that?
I can tell you what these people I'll tell you what these people won't be doing in 20 or 30 years. They won't be trying to storm into the Congress and kill like the vice president and anybody they can get their hands on. I'll tell you that again, these really scary people that are coming here to kill us.
I hate to disagree. Did you know that about 20% of the people arrested on January 6th were North Vietnamese?
But they were just
people
tourists.
Don't know that.
They were just peaceful tourists going to the Washington
North
Monument
Vietnamese tourists? Come on. I know better. You can't fool me.
That's great stuff.
I'm looking for that cheap shot to come. You want them? Okay, Atlanta. Okay, Detroit. Philly, Milwaukee. Yeah. You got them. Chicago. You can have them. We don't want them here in real America.
And the ever popular San Francisco. I want to do no vaccination, no work. We'll start. People don't like it. A lot of our fans when we talk sports, but this is only tangentially a sports story. This came up a couple of days ago that former Carolina Panther and NFL MVP Cam Newton, who is now with the New England Patriots, was missing practice because of vaccination status. That's something that Bill Belichick wants to talk about. And now the word out of New England is that the rookie, Mac Jones, out of the University of Alabama, is going to take the starting job for the New England Patriots, partially because Cam Newton wouldn't put a vaccine in his arm and had to miss some practice because of it.
Well, Britt, we're totally vindicated and justified in what we said the other day when we talked about this.
Yep.
Fuck you. You're a moron. Hey, go do something else for $9 million a year. Okay. This is really one of these cases where you can say that. Very, very often there's racism attached to it, or
correct.
Stupid athlete doesn't know how good he's got it. No, this is across the country. He just happens to have a high-profile, high-paying job, but he's no different than someone who works in a hospital who says, I'm not getting vaccinated, but I still want to be able to work in a hospital. No, fuck you. Get out. Go.
But you're correct that when he was the quarterback of the Panthers, a good deal of the criticism that was leveled at Cam Newton was based in some basic casual racism. Sometimes it was a little more aggressive than that, but there was some other kind of whispery stuff like, oh, he cares more about the fashion that he's wearing at the post-game press conference than he does about quarterbacking the Panthers. And he's this, that, the other. He's distracted. And now for those people that criticize you, you've just handed them the ultimate weapon that you, and I don't want to hear the individualism thing either. I don't want to hear individual choice, because for years and years and years, my entire life, what did people preach to you? What did the old men on the porch say about team sports? By God, every young boy ought to be involved in team sports, because it shows you how to be part of a unit, how to take care of you, how not to let down your friend. That left tackle, you got to stand up for him, and you can't let that tight end down, and you can't let that cornerback down. This is about the team, and you let the team down. Sorry, Cam. That's how it is. And in the end, you let yourself down for an opportunity that most people would kill for an organization that may not be as good as it was 5 years ago, but they still have a Hall of Fame coach and an owner that's won more titles than anybody else. I mean, I wouldn't go on vacation with him to Florida, but that's a different story entirely. So Cam Newton, you effed up. You lost your starting job because of your own stupidity and your own hokey pokey dance that you did with this vaccination thing.
Which actually now moves that story into too stupid to talk about, because Cam Newton is officially too stupid.
There it is.
To talk about. All right. So let's do finally here the should we or shouldn't we say no shot, no work? And we of course have the issue here, which is a medical issue, which is a good sense issue, which is a public health issue, which is a love thy neighbor as thyself issue. This is do unto others as you would do unto yourself kind of issue that, of course, comes dressed in culture war clothing.
Yeah.
New poll from Associated Press and the Center for Public Affairs Research. Credible. Ready? It's almost half and half. Half of American workers are in favor of vaccine requirements at the workplace. Half. 59% of remote workers favor vaccine requirements at their own workplaces, which doesn't mean anything, because if you're a remote worker, what do you care? What do you care what's going on at the office if you're remote? Okay, we'll just put that aside as stupid journalism, compared with 47% of those who are currently working in person. So there's a 12% gap between people who sit in the cheap seats and do their jobs away from the office over people who are in the office who want the right, apparently, to not be vaccinated when they come to the office. This, my head's going to blow up here. Workplace mask mandates. 50% of Americans working in person favor mask mandates. 29% are opposed. What does that leave? That leaves 21% don't know what the fuck a mask is. What is that?
They didn't understand the question. What is this Delta variant you speak of?
Yeah. And I think we need to amend what we were saying yesterday. We, meaning I, and you too. You were with me on Delta Airlines saying, all right, we're going to charge $200 more on your health insurance.
Sure.
If you're not vaccinated.
Sure.
I think Delta, and we fell for it. I admit this. I completely fell for it. That's not the answer. The answer is you fucking work for Delta Airlines, you get vaccinated, or go find another fucking job. That's what it has to. It's an airline. It's like a hospital. When you're on an airplane, it's like being in a big hospital ward.
Well, how about this? We won't offer you health insurance on our plan unless you're vaccinated. You'll have to go find your health care plan through some other means. It's one of the great benefits of a job.
No,
not even there.
No, people will do that. Corporate America needs to take the lead and say, we want a safe workplace for everyone, for our employees, for our customers, for everyone. And the only way we can do the maximum to assure safety is to make sure that as many people are as vaccinated. That means every person is vaccinated, and anything short of that is allowing the mob to rule. Which by the way, I didn't mark this story. Let's see if I can find it in 2 seconds here. Ron DeSantis is quoted as saying that Joe Biden needs to follow his lead in dealing with the coronavirus, that Joe Biden has failed to tame the coronavirus. DeSantis is playing this game and saying Joe Biden promised he would end the coronavirus, that he would whip it when he ran. And now he hasn't, and it's out of control. Joe Biden lied. But it's a triple gaslight because Ron DeSantis, of course, is presiding at the state level over the worst state in the country with the largest outbreak and with overrun hospitals. So I don't know whether the question was followed up with, and just how should Joe Biden follow you, Ron DeSantis, in creating a national policy for handling coronavirus? If the whole country was like Florida right now, it would be over. And we got enough problems. We're in North Carolina, and at this point now, the major hospital systems are saying, oh, it's just about full, and
Absolutely.
we can't do any kind of surgery that isn't, the end of life saving kind of stuff. If it's elective surgery, put it off. We can't do it anymore. So we're just about there too, but not at the level of Florida.
I had elective surgery in 2019. I had my gallbladder removed, and it was causing me a great deal of pain, and there were some stones in there. If I had to have that done now, I wouldn't be able to do it. And there's no telling when I would be able to do it if that was something that was coming up. Forget it.
Okay, I got it here. You can't believe it. Here's the headline. This is Washington Post. As Florida faces record COVID-19 deaths,
Right.
DeSantis says Biden should follow his lead.
What is that?
So there you go.
And kill off 200 people
There
a
you
day?
go.
I think 200 people was the death total yesterday in Florida. It's preposterous.
Let's see. The average right now is 227. You're too low.
Well, I always did love that show 227 back in the 80s.
But
for sure.
they're number one in the country. So there are more people in Texas and in California. Florida's only the third most populous state, but they are by far number one in the number of deaths per day. And I know you'll never be able to guess this. Guess where DeSantis was interviewed to say this? You'll never guess on what
Fox
network.
News? Was it Fox News?
How'd you guess?
I don't know. I'm good at that stuff.
But this is the gaslight part of it, okay? DeSantis defends his response in Florida
Of course.
and says that the state is seeing, quote, great success in treating COVID patients with monoclonal antibodies, an effective, widely available therapy that few people are receiving.
the
governor- So they're building clinics to treat people after they've gotten it.
Yeah.
Of course, they've gotten it because they're not getting vaccinated.
And he has a financial interest in this Regeneron stuff, this monoclonal thing.
Yeah.
That's been reported pretty widely. So yes, Joe Biden certainly needs to look to that. That needs to be the example that Joe Biden takes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, quit telling people to get vaccinated. That's a waste of time.
And Cam Newton needs to be.
Ship has sailed. I'm not getting it.
Cam Newton needs to be telling other NFL players how to lose their starting job. That's another thing that needs to be happening across America.
Cam Newton already lost his starting job because his arm is dead and it's over for him, and he's over the hill. So, see, that's what kills me about someone like him. He's already well past his prime.
Yeah.
He just is. I mean, we all saw him here from the beginning, and it was always said, and it was true, that because of the way he played, which is as a human battering ram, that he was not likely to last as long as a drop back pocket quarterback who avoids getting hit. That's just,
he's a huge guy. He's a very large guy, even by NFL quarterback standards. And he felt like that size would kind of protect him as he would go into these hits and stuff. And then as time went on, I would say, this happened back in 2014. I would say he's not been the same since he had that truck wreck in Charlotte. Ever since that truck thing happened, it's been on a steep downhill decline ever since then.
You're right there. But if he thinks that weighing 250 or 260, whatever he weighs, is any protection against guys who weigh 320, okay, who can run too, he's nuts. But so anyway, so he played that way and had some success for some years, but now he's on the downhill side of everything. So you would think that when you're on the downhill side and you're trying to hang on, you do everything outside of yourself to not draw attention to yourself except for the reasons that you're playing well and you're giving it all you got, and you deserve to be on the team and you deserve another shot, and maybe the starting quarterback will get hurt. You'll step right back in there and you'll be our generation's Earl Morrall. Earl Morrall. Look that one up, kids.
Jim Plunkett. I'm more of a Jim Plunkett guy, and that's only a 40-year-old reference, so thank you.
I was going with 55-year-old references, if you don't mind. If you don't mind. All right.
That's it for us.
We've finished, and I hope we come back to some better news tomorrow. Probably won't, but we'll give it our best shot. You do too. See you then.